I'm going to go ahead and take the green plug out of the oil pan, drain the oil out of it. I'm going to separate the exhaust pipe at these 3 bolts here, where this whole exhaust manifold turns into the pipe headed to the back. They're 14 millimeters, 3 of them. I'm going to take the engine mount bolts loose, 14 millimeter, 1 on each side of the frame. I have to use a torch to heat that nut up. It's really stuck on there. Yeah, it's a couple thousand degrees solved the stuck nut problem. Still pretty hot. I'm gonna wait. I want to handle it, get burned up. I've got the engine mapped out. Well, the underneath work should be done. The only thing I should have left is 1 starter bolt and torque converter bolts. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this throttle body, plug in for the throttle motor, and map sensor, plug in, and an antifreeze line. Take the throttle body off of it to get it to the torque converter bolts. There's a little hole down in there. The antifreeze line's kind of covering the whole access hole. Then put a 22 millimeter on the crankshaft to rotate it to get it to bolts 1 by 1 as they come around. Throttle body bolts are 10 millimeter. See, the throttle body 4 bolts have been taken out, 2 antifreeze lines, and it's unplugged, and there's one of the torque converter bolts. Some white paint on it. .12 millimeters. I'm gonna break that loose and rotate the crankshaft around and get the other ones out. Kind of a sloppy 12. Try a gear wrench on it. I would have to say you want to make sure that you don't drop them down in there. I suppose they'll come out when you pull the motor out, but putting them back in. Got all 4 of the torque converter bolts out. I stuck a screwdriver down in the hole between the flywheel and the torque converter and pushed the torque converter away from the flywheel, just in case it's stuck to it. I don't want the torque converter coming out with the engine. So that should be about it. Take the starter bolt out. But I'm going to hook the engine puller up to it first. There's one pull-in hook right above the torque converter access hole. And I'll put another one in somewhere here. I took a shorter bolt out of this corner behind these sensors and actuators here. Took that shorter bolt out of this corner and used one of the power steering pump air conditioning mounting bolts. They're a little longer to reach down and bottom out in the aluminum. I did that on this bolt hole and this bolt hole to make me a custom pulling location. That'll split the weight up because this aluminum is Mickey Mouse from the looks of the sheared off places on it. It's busted here and there for the power steering mounting bracket, and back here for the air conditioner. So that's into the head. That's probably a pretty good mount there. That would probably do it by itself, but I'd rather split the weight up between them. This motor's not really that bad, but I don't want to tear the front end off of it either, or anything else. for a minute or two extra work. But you want to make sure that these bolts, this is the one that come out of it. This is one of the bracket mounting bolts. I had to put a spacer on top of the chain, but they're 90% down into those balsas, so should be in business. I'm gonna bolt the chain to it anyway. So if either one would happen to let go, it's still gonna be hooked on either side. I've installed the engine puller. It's hooked up to the chain. I raised the motor up just to before this mount will clear the slot over here, and went underneath. Put a transmission jack with a 1x6 piece of board on it on the transmission pan. And I took a flat bladed screwdriver and pried this pipe off of those 3 studs. I still got a drain bucket under the water outlet for the radiator or water inlet. But it's looking. Take this last starter bolt out of the top. Just getting ready. The starter's wanting to lay back. It's also got the ground mounting bracket on it. One thing that's left hooked up is these 2 heater hoses barely stuck on the pipes. Mounted to come along around the front dampener is another measure of control of the slope of the motor coming out of the transmission. Now's the time to go ahead and pull your heater hoses off and let whatever fluid comes out. May. Watch and make sure if the torque converter comes out with it, to get a hold of it, keep it square as possible, and separate it from the flywheel. Fish it back in the transmission. It's resting on one of the studs that lines this engine in there. Get a hold of the center of it. Make sure it stays in there anyway. It's free. I've got a strip of plywood between that exhaust and this condenser just to prevent any problems. It's like 1/4-inch plywood strip. But it's clear now, so I just have to raise it up. Make sure the studs don't drag the torque converter out or impact it. And watch the oxygen sensor. It's got clearance. pretty good. I'm going to slide the engine puller sideways a little bit. Get some of the antifreeze. Should have a cap for that thing. That'll stop that mess. Nice. Let me move it out of there. That is a jewel, no doubt. Alright, now to deal with this torque converter problem. Let's get down in there and hold up on that nipple and spin it slowly until it drops down in there. It looks good. I'll have to check and make sure where the flywheel's at. I think it does sink back in the block some, so. Well, there's part of it done. You can let the transmission back down on the frame if you want. Just don't jack it up so high you pull the CVC joint apart. I'll run these lines in the firewall or something.